everyone, and welcome to Booming Encore's Tweet Talk. This is where we talk about some of the topics that have been trending on Twitter for us and share our perspectives. Today, I'm joined by Mike Drak. Mike is the author of Victory Lap Retirement, and my name is Susan Williams, and I'm the founder of Booming Encore. Welcome, Mike.
Good morning, Susan.
It's starting to have a sort of a feel of Groundhog Day, isn't it?
Oh, you can say that again.
Okay, well, let's start with the first topic. There was a really interesting article in Forbes called "The Fire Drill for Your Retirement," and basically the author Joseph Coughlin kind of went into how this situation, the COVID-19, is very, very similar to what we may experience in retirement. You know, somewhat similar to the article that you had written as well. That there's 8,000 days of retirement that we're going to have to fill, and how are we going to actually do this? But what he also highlighted was the need for us to really start thinking about who's going to care for us when we're older. What are some of your thoughts on this, Mike?
Well, you know, it's funny because we've been working on the new book, Retirement Heaven or Hell, and we have the 9 retirement principles in there. And they're very similar to what he wrote about in his article, too. So there are lessons there that hold true both for retirement and a pandemic. And there's a lot to learn there. And I think we're going to learn a lot from getting through this pandemic. There's a lot of important lessons there. Lessons about maybe how we want to restructure our lives, think about things differently, and, to pick up some new practices and ways of living. So I think it's important. With respect to care, hospital care, I don't know. You know, it's a tough call. My mother was in a nursing home for a couple of years near the end, and I really feel for people that are going through that situation right now, because you can't go in, you can't visit them, you can't help them, and it's hard and it's frustrating, and I don't know what a good solution is, like, other than you just have to grin and bear it. I remember before when they used to have flu epidemics at the nursing home, and you couldn't go in and visit them, and now we're going through the same thing again, except this virus is so much more serious. Like, you have to be very, very careful about what you do. Yesterday, my wife had her parents come up and visit us. They didn't come in the house. They did what we call a drive-by. They just drove by in the car, sat there, and kind of waved at us. So that was kind of interesting, but it's important to feel together and maintain these relationships somehow. Thank goodness for technology where we can FaceTime and things like that. But yeah, it's tough.
It's tough. And I think what this is also highlighting is, how dependent we are on people for, helping us manage and maintain our health. And especially when it gets stretched, as we're seeing on the front lines right now with all our healthcare workers. And we know that we're going to be heading towards a shortage of people able to give aged care later. So maybe we'll hopefully wake up and start thinking about this sooner rather than later, because, with our population aging, we know this support is going to be necessary. So maybe this might be a lesson for us to start thinking about it sooner rather than later.
Well, I agree. I think it's a big wake-up call in many different areas.
Absolutely.
It's important we look at these things.
Yeah. Now, the second topic I thought we could chat about was one of our contributors, Dave Price, wrote quite a touching story about how this is actually impacting a small business, and one specifically that he went to a restaurant and basically they're shutting down. I mean, this whole situation is really hard economically on so many people, and especially small and mid-sized businesses, because we all know how the cash flow situation is often so tight. So trying to manage their way through this. Do you have any thoughts on this, Mike?
Well, I was in banking for years and years, so I've been through down cycles a number of times, but this one's really tough, because a lot of companies might not be able to bounce back because they're being tested. The cash flow is dried up, and it's a question of how long can you hang on for. And now with you know, the U.S. extending the period of isolation to the end of April, and they might even have to extend that further.
Hmm.
And a lot of people or companies aren't going to be able to weather that prolonged period. So it's going to be really tough, and I really feel for them too.
Yeah, I think when we exit this is going to be definitely a different world than what we entered in
For
with.
sure.
So, you know, fingers crossed that everybody's able to hold on and hold on tight, and we'll weather through this, and hopefully, you know, at the end of it, we'll all still be standing and holding on to something. So, here's
Yeah.
fingers crossed for this one.
We're
Finally,
not having a lot of fun with this
I know,
conversation,
I know.
are
Well,
you?
okay. Well, here's one that's a little bit more uplifting. There was a gentleman in France, and I thought this was like, now we're getting really creative. He was actually to run a marathon in Spain, which obviously got deferred or canceled or whatever. I'm not exactly sure the details of what happened to that marathon. But what he did is he actually then took to running the marathon on his balcony. So he ran 3,000 laps over the course of something like 5 or 6 hours. And I thought, well, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. And
But it just shows you that you know, people are trying to be creative. They're frustrated. They have all this energy and they have nowhere to spend it. I read an article somewhere where some gentleman got this idea. He put some kind of fluid on the floor. It was very slippery, and then he could slide in place, and it was like a treadmill. He was spinning his legs. And it's funny with the things that people come up with, but you know, it's tough. I tell you, being isolated for a long period. Maybe in Spain, he's in a small apartment. He's probably losing his mind, like many of us are. But it's tough. And, you know, we're lucky because we can still go outside for a walk and get some fresh air.
yeah,
But contained in a small apartment or being in New York City, you know, those apartments, most of them are really tiny, and I don't know how they're going to pull through. So you got to really feel for people like that. And that's why it's nice when you see pictures from Italy when people are on the balconies and they're singing and doing all kinds of other things. It really helps with improving our spirits, you know, because we're all in this
absolutely.
together. Right?
We are all in this together. And I think that's where, you know, I am so impressed with the people that are, you know, digging deep, doing what we need to do,
Oh,
and
for
staying
sure.
strong, you know, because it is a tough situation. I mean, you and I are feeling it, and we're nowhere near what some other people are actually going through.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, if we're feeling it from ourselves, I can only imagine what other people are doing. So, you know, my thanks, my gratitude to everybody for, you know, being strong and pulling together. And like you said, we will get through this, I am sure. So,
Oh, we will. We will.
okay, well, stay strong, Mike, and look forward to chatting with you again tomorrow. And to everybody out there, hope that you found this information valuable and helps you live your best moving on forward. Bye for now, everyone.
Take care, Sue.